Hello, all my duckies out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din coming at you with another DuckTales 2017 episode review. This time it's season 2's episode 12 titled Nothing Can Stop Della Duck. And we see that is very literally true, as Della has been met with the greatest obstacle she would ever face in her life. The door, the front door, as Della immediately has to get accustomed to life that is not on the moon, as we see Donald is about to get a front row seat to that. But Della is a bit nervous going in. She's not quite sure how she should greet the boys after all this time away. And as everyone gets ready to go on this massive adventure, with this thing called the cartographer's quill, and it just ties into the fact that every time we get ready to go on this massive adventure, we're always interrupted, and the cartographer's quill actually can draw maps to various destinations and locations of great hidden treasure. But as soon as they open the door and Della gives a rather flamboyant entrance, which he immediately regrets and just vetoes for a simple "Hi, Uncle Scrooge," Scrooge immediately drops the quill, breaking and destroying it. But he couldn't care less, as he's just happy to have Della back. However, he gets a little annoyed when he's just like, well, where have you been? And she's like, on the moon. He's like, I searched the moon. But she's just like, well, apparently not well enough. But, they've just kind of tabled that because ultimately they're just happy to see each other. But when Scrooge sees her leg, he's just like, what happened? All this nice little banter between the two. And it's just like, of course, Scrooge would have that kind of reaction. He hasn't seen her in so long. But he's just really taken with her ingenuity and the fact that ultimately she made it back on her own. And when Webby just kind of points out to the boys that that's your mom, that's Della Duck, she's just kind of taken aback by seeing that the boys have grown so much, and it takes Scrooge just being like, this is your mom. This is Della Duck. Let me introduce you to Della Duck. Dewey, who is always the first one to leap into a situation, immediately goes in just happy to see her because he was the one who was searching for her the longest. He was the one who was the most, just all over finding everything out he could about Della Duck. And so naturally it would be most obvious that he would be the one to immediately go in from jump. Although once Della learns what they've been named, she actually is a little peeved because she left specific instructions that she wanted them to be named Jet, Turbo, and Rebel, which, Dewey is all about being called Turbo. But when Huey, or Jet, comes in, he actually has a few questions as to how Della actually managed to survive on the moon. But once Della starts quoting off the Junior Woodchuck guidebook, he's just like, okay, you definitely are my mom. Louie, on the other hand, is having none of it because they've been through so many situations and had so many various villains try to trick them here and there, that he's in complete disbelief that it could truly be her. But after a little bit of time, even he just kind of accepts the fact that he's finally has his mom back in their lives, and the family is reunited once again, and even Webby starts to kind of ugly cry for a moment there after all this time. But it's a very interesting, it's nice that each of the kids had their own kind of reaction to seeing Della and how it took them trying to adapt to the fact that their mother is there in the flesh and she's truly here. Della is naturally all too happy to get some actual food instead of just, Gyro Gearloose's Oxy Chew, which, better than tasting black licorice for another 10 years. But, Della's a little bit surprised to see that Miss Beakley is now the, housekeeper of the mansion. And Beakley explains that it's because Duckworth passed on, although she's not too happy about the fact that he hasn't fully passed on and is still haunting the mansion. And Scrooge just explains a lot has changed over time. But, all the boys want to immediately just get to know their mom for the most part. And she's all too happy to spend as much time as she can to get to know her boys after all this time. I even love this little moment where we see that if you ruffle their hairs enough, they all default to Dewey's hairstyle. She's so funny. And I just love Louie's reaction to that. But, Della actually kind of wonders where Scrooge is. He's missing out on all the fun. And Webby explains that they sent him out on a cruise because he's just been so stressed, especially after the events of last episode. Smash cut to Donald being flung into the far reaches of space. Just the comedic timing there is amazing. But just, who gets stuck with all of that luck? No one but Donald Duck. But Della is just, just wants the boys to she wants to do her best to be a part of their lives if they're willing to accept her. And naturally, the boys are all too ready to just jump in, except for Louie, who seems to be having some reservations about this. But Della feels that the best way to go about this is to, make them cake for the most part, just to celebrate and have a good time with her boys. And naturally, it's a chaotic event, and it ends with the, stove being set on ablaze. But she's made all these cakes for all these different situations, which naturally, Dewey is all about. And Huey, who normally doesn't have sweets past a certain point, he even goes as far as to gobble up, and he gets a sugar high. But we also get to see Louie's not too happy about the fact that Dewey and Della share a common want for puns. They're both punsters. But then Della comes out with this kind of, fizzy rock cake thing that's, has sparklers on it and all this crap. And then Webby explains that the fizzy rocks that are adorn the cake, were actually, banned by the US government because of various different kinds of incidents, which immediately sends Dewey in on it, wanting to just give a try to Danger, all of the kids' personalities are just on full display here as Dewey just keeps diving in headfirst to every situation, which immediately ends up with him having a stomach. Kind of like that old urban legend about how if you ingest Pop Rocks and soda, your stomach would just start to explode and fizz out. But it's just like, what if that were true? And so, Dewey is basically incapacitated. Huey is, completely hyped up on sugar, and Louie's just gonna take a step back. So Della takes Dewey to his bed and decides she wants to tell her boys a bedtime story. Although the one that she initially suggests is a little too kiddie for their taste. So she decides to tell them the story of the Gilded Man, which is actually representative of an old Karl Barks Donald Duck story of this ancient kind of Aztec looking, golden Inca warrior kind of being. A nice little callback to various DuckTales lore. I mean, and Karl Barks wrote so many different kinds of DuckTales story that they could continue to keep pulling from DuckTales stories from now into the next century. But the story she ends up telling is actually just so gruesome for the most part. That the boys, yeah, and she even leaves it on a cliffhanger, saying that the Gilded Warrior is actually in the garage, just waiting to have its revenge on the family that ended up dismantling and destroying him when Della was, 10 years old, the boy's age. So they end up staying up all night, just afraid of ever seeing the Gilded Warrior. But Della, has all these air horns that she wants to use, and Scrooge tried to hide from her, but she uses this to kind of wake up and hype up the boys, only to cause Huey to kind of go deaf for a moment. But she wants the boys to join her in, a very, The Legend of Zelda-esque shield surfing down the stairs, and, immediately makes me want to play, Breath of the Wild. But she wants to show off just how cool of a mom that she truly is. And she wants to get her boys in on the action. But, they're a little bit like, oh, yeah, that's cool and all, but that seems fairly dangerous. And naturally, Huey, since Dewey is a little too sick to do it, Huey ends up being the one to go along with it, and it almost ends in a disastrous situation where Huey accidentally takes Louie along for the ride. But they manage to survive, albeit with a little bit of destruction going around, which Miss Beakley immediately confronts them about, only for Dewey and the boys, mostly Dewey and Huey, to step in and try to take the blame for the situation. And, Miss Beakley sends the boys to their room and tries to get the cleanup underway. But it's very apparent that Della isn't the best mom. And, ultimately that is talked about later, but, I mean, you can't just force yourself into these boys' lives. They've grown and adapted in various ways that you just don't understand yet. So she needs to learn to take a little bit more time with this. Take it as it comes, because you're here now and you have the rest of their lives to truly get to know your boys. And so she takes a walk through Donald's houseboat, and she comes to the realization that Donald did an all right job raising the boys. They grew up to be very good individual children in their own right. Although we then smash cut to Donald being flung into the moon. But then she's introduced to basically her replacement Launchpad, who is now the pilot for Mr. McD. And Della is none too happy about having a basic replacement, but I mean, it's like, Della, you were gone for 10 years, of course you got a replacement. And it's just interesting to see this reaction between the two. Honestly, just having Della here is just really groundbreaking, because you never got to have Della in any other media except that one anniversary comic book issue that I think was for Italy only. And just having her here now, just interacting with all these various characters, it's really fun for the most part. But when Della goes to confront Scrooge about her replacement as a pilot, they enter in on Miss Beakley kind of being, talking to Scrooge about the fact that Della doesn't really know what she's doing in terms of being a mom. And while Dewey and Huey are willing to defend her, Louis still has his reservations, but he admits that it's probably just because of the fact that he doesn't really know if he even needs a mom. He's gone so long without having one, he just doesn't know how to react to the fact that she's here now for the boys. But, Scrooge says that's because Della isn't a mom, although Della ends up running away from this after hearing that. Scrooge wanted to, highlight the fact that she's not a mom because she hasn't been here to develop into one. She needs time to grow into being what the boys need her to be. Meanwhile, Della, heads into the garage to lament the fact that, being a mom is fairly hard, which it is. Being a parent in general is hard. But, she had an easier time fighting various warriors and surviving all by her lonesome, that she doesn't really know how to adapt into being the boys' mom. And she kind of wishes that the gilded man was actually alive once again so that she could, fight it off and, fight for the boys' love and save them and stuff, which she accidentally awakens it and it goes on a rampage. But Della's all too happy because this means she can use this as an opportunity to endear herself to her boys, only for Scrooge to come in and be like, what is going on in here? I gotta start locking this door, which I'm like, Scrooge, yeah, you really do. But Della ends up going looking for various weapons that, Scrooge explains that, yeah, we've used them all over the past few years. So Della continues to search while the Gilded Man goes after Scrooge, only for Della to accidentally send some junk careening onto an old jalopy, which sends the car horn blaring, which actually shows that, sound is also a weakness of the Gilded Man. And when Della explains the whole situation to Scrooge, that she wants to use the Gilded Man to basically win back the boys' love and show them that she's a good mother, Scrooge explains that, she hasn't had enough time to be a true good mother. She needs time to learn the boys and come to understand them, understand who they are as of now, and just run from there. It takes time. This is something that will take time. But then the Gilded Man finds them and chases them out of the garage into clear view of the children and Miss Beakley as they run throughout the backyard, and even showing that for some reason Scrooge has Excalibur in his backyard, and Beakley's like, well, you can't pull that. That's the legendary sword Excalibur, which will make you King of England. Only the true King of England can pull that out. Only for the Gilded Man to pull it out by the root and beat Miss Beakley with it. Miss Beakley, she keep getting the short end of the stick in places, which immediately sends Webby on the warpath, and she grapples the sword out of the Gilded Man's hand. And Della tries to, do what she did before when she was younger and sneak in between the Gilded Man's joints, but because she's now older and bigger, she's completely unable to, fit in there. Shows she got a little too much junk in that trunk now, and Scrooge has to explain that to her. But, now Della is caught, and the Gilded Man also catches Scrooge and Webby and starts to crush them. But the boys end up using Della's air horns in order to distract the Gilded Man. And, they shown, when he tries to chase him, Della calls out that his weakness is sound, which gives Louie an idea. And with the help of Huey and Dewey, he's able to create basically this sound bomb that they throw to Della. She puts in the Gilded Man's inner workings and presses on it, creating this chain reaction of reverberating sound throughout it, causing massive destruction within it. And as it falls apart, it almost falls on Louie. But Della manages to, Della is trapped, in the inner workings, and has to basically pull off her artificial leg in order to get out and try to save Louie from the falling, mechanical beast, which she successfully manages to do, showing how dedicated she is to her kids. So I guess for the most part, her terrible plan worked. But, Louie's just happy that her mom showed that she cared, that just, caring that he really needed from his mom after all this time. And as we get to see just this little nice family bonding moment, Webby kind of wonders how she managed to get out. And Scrooge explains that the way that any parent, no matter who they are, can show that they really care about their children and are good fit to be parents is versatility. And Della showed that she has the versatility to be a good mom. And Della goes on to talk to her kids about the fact that she wants to be there for her. She wants to be a part of their lives, and she's willing to take the time to learn who each and every one of them are and who she is as a mom going forward. And she decides that the best way to do that is just doing what they want to do this time around. Just showing that she cares about them, their opinions, and how they feel. But she does still wish that Donald hasn't missed out on all this nice family bonding time, only for Donald to be downing all this oxy-chew in order to survive on the moon, only for him to be caught by the moon people as well as Lunaris, who declares that Donald will be captured. And now Donald Duck is at the mercy of the moon people. That ends our fun-filled episode. I'm so glad this came out. This team is doing a great job with this series, just showing off the person that Della Duck is, because we never got to know or learn her personality. There was so much room to just grow and understand and just develop her from the ground up. And that this show has been doing a great job of just doing that with all the various characters, still keeping core elements to them, but just taking every character in this fun and fascinating direction that I just can't wait to see where we go from here, because there's a world of possibility from this point forward. We're at the midway point of the series at this time, and the series is showing no signs of stopping, especially now the fact that we also know that there's a third season already in the works at this point, and I just can't wait. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? How did you feel about Della and her interaction with the boys? How long it took each boy to come around to Della? And how do you feel about Donald being on the moon? Just how do you feel about that plot twist? Just let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, leave it a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave it a dislike, and tell me how I can improve for future videos in the comment section below. And if you never want to miss out on another DuckTales review, just feel free to subscribe and hit the bell icon. And follow me on social media just by googling Duuz-Diz-Din. You'll find me everywhere, for better or for worse. And until the next video, just remember, it's time and effort that makes for a true parent, no matter if you're blood related or not. Until the next time, take care.